Well, hello again, beautiful souls. It's Jack Cox, author of Love Not Fear. And today I'm just going to talk to you off the cuff a little bit about the ideas, the way that the book evolved. And we're going to make it a Q&A. And somebody's already asked me a question, so that's the first thing I'm going to dive into. So with you in just a second after the intro. Yeah, like I say, we're doing a Q&A again today. So anyone's got any questions, anybody wants to come on and ask me any questions, then please do so. You can also phone in, and the number is below in the description. And you can also phone in on Messenger or WhatsApp if you want to do that. So I'm just going to start off with a question that somebody's already asked me. And that's how I came to write the book. Why Love Not Fear? What fears were triggering me at the time? So let's dive into that. As most of you already know, most of you who follow me regularly already know, I lived in Spain for 17 years. And I was getting... I was becoming embarrassed, I'll be honest. I was becoming embarrassed to admit that I was British, that I was a Brit abroad. The attitude of some of the Brits, not all of them by any means, but probably about half of them, the attitude stunk. They had no respect for the Spanish people. They had no respect for the Spanish culture. They were just there for the sunshine and cheap booze. So I'm sure you can understand that I wasn't happy. In fact, hello, Heidi. Hello, Heidi. Heidi's coming on with me on Friday. So hello, Heidi. Yeah, I wasn't happy. I was ashamed to admit that I was British. And then I came back to this country in 2012. And I saw a small segment, certainly not all, just as it wasn't all in Spain, just a small segment of the immigrant population that were treating our people as second-class citizens, that had no respect for our culture or our traditions, and had no desire to fit in. And I thought, hello, I've seen this before somewhere. I saw this in Spain. And when I saw it in Spain, it was our own people, our own British people that were doing it. So it took me a while. It took me a little while to assimilate what was going on and to research what was going on. And I realized that we were being conned. This word multicultural. I was perfectly happy for my country to be multi-ethnic, just as the Spanish were perfectly happy for their country to be multi-ethnic, but they expected foreigners to integrate into their culture, and I expected foreigners to integrate into our culture. Otherwise, why do they come? So I started campaigning, and I joined a couple of groups and started campaigning to put an end to this. And the media branded me as a racist. Now, how can I be a racist if I'm perfectly happy for my country to be multi-ethnic? Can I? I can't possibly be a racist, can I? But that's the way the media portrayed it. So I'm doing it all myself tonight, so forgive me. But yeah, I'm glad about that, Heidi. Glad about that. And we were being demonized as being far right, whatever that meant. So then I started looking into this model of politics, this left, right, centre model of politics that we're all taught in school, where you have the communists on the left and the fascists on the right and everybody else in between. And I thought, this ain't right. That model just isn't right. Because fascism and communism are just two different faces of totalitarianism. So that model doesn't work. You have to put them both on the left and put pure anarchy in its true sense on the right. And in that sense, I was very proud to be called far right because I am an anarchist. I believe in people making decisions for themselves in small local groups, not having it imposed on them from above. So that makes me an anarchist. A freedom lover, a freedom fighter. So why was the press demonizing us like this? And then we had Antifa came along, didn't they? And claiming to be anti-fascist, but they were the biggest fascists of the lot. They wanted to tell us all what we could and couldn't do, say, and think. I realized straight away that Antifa were modelled on Hitler's brown shirts, or a mixture between Hitler's brown shirts and Hitler's youth. No platforming, deplatforming university lecturers that were speaking outside the narrative. And then we had one of our leaders of the anti multiculturalism movement, who I can't name and I still won't name because I had my original Facebook account closed down with thousands of followers and groups with thousands of members. And I still have orphaned groups with thousands of members that I can't get in. I can't interact. I can post to as a member, but I can't admin because there's no access to it anymore. Because just for mentioning one man's name and for saying that that he'd been wrongly imprisoned for journalism. A lot of you know who I'm talking about. And the lies that were told about that one man by the mainstream media, by the BBC, and by all the main papers. There was nobody on his side. That really woke me up. The poor guy's in Nick just for reporting on a trial legally. We were accused of spreading hate, but it was them that were spreading hate towards us. I don't hate anybody. I love everybody. All races, all religions. I love everybody. I don't love everything everybody's doing, but I love everybody. I don't have an ounce of hatred in my body, in my soul, anywhere, for anyone. So this really started to wake me up. And so I wrote a book to sort of go into some of these different issues. And I wrote it with a couple of friends. I wrote it with an ex-News of the World journalist and an ex-convict who'd been wrongly, he admitted to everything he'd done. Openly admits to everything he's ever done, including murder. But he won't admit for the things he didn't do, which is fair enough. So we wrote this book together, and it was called Rupert Murdoch's Hitmen. And the reason it was called Rupert Murdoch's Hitmen It isn't because it was focusing specifically on the Murdoch press. It was focusing on the mainstream media in general. But one of the guys I wrote it with, the ex-News of the World journalist, he had it in for Murdoch, and so we made it that way to keep him happy. And there's a quote. I just want to give you a quote from that book, from Andy Burnham, actually. Andy Burnham, who's the mayor of Greater Manchester. And he was a cabinet minister at the time under Tony Brown, at the time of, he wrote this just after the Hillsborough disaster, if anybody remembers that. Well, it's all detailed in the book, so get the book. It's well out of date now, but it's still in print. So just let me read what Andy Burnham had to say. There is an elite in politics, in the police, in the legal system, and in the media too, that colludes together to exercise power over ordinary people. You have to fundamentally rebalance the system to give ordinary people the ability to get truth and justice when they need it. So I talk a lot in the book about that, about the censorship, about all the lies that were being told at that time, which was the time of the Trump-Hillary Clinton election and Brexit in this country here. Heidi's made a comment here. Let's have a look. So I'm doing all this myself tonight. So tell a lie long enough, as the media does, and it seems to become truth. Like this case is a pack of lies. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what else do we talk about in the book? Well, we talk about John, what's his name? John Perkins' book. John Perkins was the economic hitman. He wrote about how America, the CIA, finance private individuals, private companies to go into third world countries and to destabilize them and to sell them development aid, development loans, which they then have to pay back extortionate interest. And when they can't, they bankrupt the countries. Or they say, look, we're going to bankrupt you if you don't do everything we tell you to do in the United Nations. So that's another aspect of it. And because we started talking about multiculturalism and we started talking, it's not just any particular group, any particular religion or any particular nationality. But some of the more extreme Muslim sects are very much to blame for this, setting up their own Sharia courts. You can't come to somebody else's country and bring your own legal system with you. I mean, that's just nonsense. And if you don't like the word country, just think of the word place. Well, I've got loads of Muslim friends, not so much now, but I have had in the past. I had a very, very close Muslim friend when I was at university. This guy that I was talking about, this journalist, a citizen journalist, who's been demonized as being a Muslim-hating racist, he had Muslims at his wedding. I mean, the whole thing's just lies, 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 lies. To demonize anybody and even imprison anybody This is the thing. I mean, we talk about Russia having dissidents back in the USSR Cold War days. But we have dissidents in our prisons now, people who have done nothing wrong except for speaking up against the official narrative. So I wrote my book. And I started to think, well, why are Muslims coming to the surface here? Why are they being picked on? And I say picked on. Like I say, I've got nothing against Muslims or anybody else. And I trace that all the way back to Lawrence of Arabia, to the First World War. And I do that in the book. I go into depth in the book about how Lawrence was used to make false promises to the Arabs to get them to fight with us, with the Allies. And after the war, they were sold down the river. The Treaty of Versailles split up their countries, apportioned them to mostly to Britain and France, and Belgium got a small amount of area, and but mostly Britain and France. And that's why we have all the stories coming out of post-World War I North Africa, of the French Foreign Legion there. They were trying to subdue these new territories that they'd been given. And we wonder why the Arabs there hated us, because it's the way we treated them. And then we had the Iraq War, the Second Iraq War, the Bush and Blair Iraq War, with made up stories, again in the media, trumped up stories about weapons of mass destruction that never existed. And I say in the book that although that's a lot of that's to do with oil, and a lot of that's to do with other things, to do with currency, to do with not wanting the US dollar. But I think a lot of it also was to do with destabilizing the Muslim world, the same as in Syria and other places, and Afghanistan, to destabilize the Muslim world, to make them hate us. Where in history ever have the people who have been bombed by a country gone as refugees to that country? Never. It never happens. So you've got to think just a little bit, why are they coming here as refugees? I'm not saying all of them. I'm sure a lot of them are very genuine people. But you have to accept that some of them are coming here to wage war against us. And then we get into all this terrorism thing. And I wasn't really aware as much at the time, although I do mention it in that earlier book. That lost my train of thought now. I'm getting old. What was this? Oh yeah, that the CIA were behind most of the terrorism. I'm sure it was the local people on the ground that were actually doing it, but it was the CIA that were winding them up and paying for their weapons. And because we know, don't we, that after Saddam Hussein was hung and ISIS started, that it was started by the CIA or with the help of the CIA. That's all been out in the open for a long time now. And it's all part of this agenda to destabilize the West. And we've seen that playing out in the last couple of years, haven't we? Other ways, other tactics they've used to try to destabilize our nations. So I just want to read something else out to you that might make you think just a little bit. And this is a quote again from the Rupert Murdoch book. make you think just a little bit about what's going on in the world. Here's another example of high-level corruption. Sir Roger Carr became chairman of energy giant Centrica in 2004 and deputy chairman of the Bank of England in 2007, as well as president of the CBI, Confederation of British Industry, in 2011. He joined BEA Systems as chairman in 2013. And Sir Roger became a BBC Trust vice chairman in March 2015. Are you starting to join the dots yet? The deputy chairman of the Bank of England, the president of the CBI, and the BBC Trust vice president is the biggest arms dealer in the country. The trust, established through the 2006 BBC Royal Charter, describes itself as the guardian of licence fee revenue. It strives to make the corporation simpler, more efficient, and more open. Yeah, all right, yeah. It sets editorial standards. This is the point. And it appoints the Director General and serves as the final arbiter on complaints. So his appointment in 2015, an appointment made by the government, while still on the board of BAE, the government deeply associated our public broadcaster with the arms trade. Why aren't people talking about this? Why do we have so many wars? It really came out, didn't it, in the Bush-Blair invasion of Iraq, how the media was so behind it. They were being so jingoistic. They were spreading all the lies. Why? Because one of their high-ups was also the high-up of the company that was selling the arms to the people that were doing the fighting. You can't make this up. Oh, dear. And the bankers, of course, they financed both sides of every war. So that's what that book was all about. It was about how the media collaborate with the police, the courts, with big business, with the military-industrial complex, with big pharma, in order to ensnare us in their web of lies. And we've really seen this over the last couple of years. And if anybody, the irony with what I'm saying here, I don't know whether it's getting to everybody or not, but the irony here is that a lot of you still think I'm a racist for objecting to multiculturalism, not multi-ethnic, multiculturalism, because you've been lied to by the mainstream media, even after going through the experience that you've been through for the last 2 years, which should have made you all see straight through everything the mainstream media tell you. So that's how the book evolved. What was I being triggered by? I was being triggered by a fear of multiculturalism, a fear of my country and other countries, and Spain, which is another country I live, being spoiled by multiculturalism. And in Spain, it was us Brits that were doing it. So how can I possibly be racist if I'm saying that my own race were doing it. You just can't make it up. You just can't make it up. But there you go. I'm a far-right racist bigot, according to the BBC and the newspapers. So there you go. You couldn't make it up. So I let that sit on the back burner for a couple of years. And then I just had this inspiration to do Love Not Fear. And whereas in Rupert Murdoch's Hitmen, I talk about this web of lies, in Love Not Fear, I call that web of lies the game we did not devise. Oh, Mabi, hello. You follow this is so small. I need glasses, but they're no good. You follow the money, absolutely, the big money in arms deals. And you find who's behind the steps that they are taking out against countries. Theft is their aim. Yeah, theft and power. There's so many layers to this, Jack. Absolutely, maybe. There's so many layers. And I explore some of the layers in Rupert Murdoch's Hitmen. And I explore some of the layers in Love Not Fear. But yeah, you just follow the money. I spent a few years in journalism myself, and the first thing they taught me was follow the money. Yeah. So in Love Not Fear, which you can download free from my website, lovenotfear.uk, and I'll put the links below. I call this web of lies the game we did not devise. I trace it back. I trace it back. I've researched it through other researchers who've done the legwork. Trace it back to Babylon and Sumer when all this started. This money-based, fear-based system it just exists to control us. And that's really what Love Not Fear is all about. I look into how that came about. I look into what we can do today about it. It's a very practical book. Rupert Murdoch's Hitmen was theoretical. Love Not Fear is a very practical book. It's what we can actually do, how we can start grassroots systems, yeah, based on love and generosity instead of on meanness and fear. Just want to remind everybody that thanks for everybody that's on and asking questions and commenting. That's appreciated. Just to remind you that you can also phone in if you want to. And the phone number is down below in the description. Maybe I'll get organized next week and put it on the screen, but I haven't done that this week. And I've got it all rigged up, so it should work. It's an experiment, so it should work anyway, yeah. Or you can phone me in on Messenger or WhatsApp. And that's not plugged in directly. That'll be picked up by the microphone, but I know that works and it's quite clear because we did that a couple of weeks ago, well, a month ago. So yeah, that's what drove me into this line of inquiry. That was my journey. That was my hero's journey, if you like. And if you've got any questions or you want to make any comments, then please do. Please do. I'll answer any questions you may have. So then in the book, I talk about, in the Love Not Fear book, I talk about the 10 pillars of utopia. Right, I've got a phone in. Hello, Heidi.
Evenings, Jack. How are you?
Ah, very well. Is this being picked
Very
up on
well.
the? You're not on screen, but they can hear you.
Yes, yes. Well, words can be enough.
So what can I do? What do you want to know?
Well, just I have a bit of a description that I'm writing,
Yeah.
and it's come into play as you talk of the endless wars. I mean, there's so many that. I mean, I think it's almost at 300. I forget. I have a little bit of a brain injury, so you'll have to remind my forgetfulness. I feel like I'm in your shoes. So, and for those that don't understand what that is, a TBI, it's a traumatic brain injury. So, I suffer with about a 30% reduction of short-term memory.
Mm.
So that's kind of an issue when I will come live next week, and I'm dialing this in. I will try to be. This is my first live feed that I've done, so it will be. So I'm trying to. I've got into the YouTubes properly, so hopefully I will have no problems. But this is kind of a writing that has to do with war. So I'll just share what I have so far. The soul within the suit, the thriftful collective knowing, swift this collection of facts, thrown, strewn all about. The relentless wheels of war keep turning, as endlessly planned elimination has always been brewing. Pages from the poet's sorrows, written long ago, though through many hands have come, riddles from our past, the war that's never won. The soul within the suit, thrown, strewn all about.
Yeah, it's moving. Very moving.
And it does seem endless for how many have been since 1776. It's almost 300 wars, and it's just and generally we fund both sides of every war in the U.S. So they do that to better dictate get their outcome that they want.
Yeah, well, it's the bankers, isn't it? It's the bankers that fund the wars.
I agree with your other gal that had text in. Yes, I agree. You just got to follow the money.
Follow the
Big
money.
oil,
That's what it's all about. I think it started off. Tell me what you think. I think it started off about money, but I think it's become much bigger than that now. The elite, I call them in the book. I call them the globalist elite. You can call them the Illuminati or whatever you like, the cabal. It's much bigger than money now. It's about power. They want total control. Total control of every living being on this planet.
Well, and digital hell is on its way if we comply, because once they really get everything, all the T's crossed and all the I's dotted, I mean, then our privacy really becomes archaic.
I think it already has.
To some degree, but I mean, just absolutely like a stranglehold around our necks when everything goes digital, then they can deny you your vehicle. That if you have an electric one, they can just deny that. And there's kill switches in vehicles since right around 2008. Yeah. So anytime that they want to shut your vehicle down, they can. And then they can deny you at that bank if you said something that goes against what you're supposed to be doing. Well, they can just deny you your monies.
Well, it's just,
so I mean, I think that it really, really, when it comes to that, then that becomes our stranglehold.
Absolutely, yeah. It's this Chinese-style social credit system that they're bringing in from the back through the back door.
Yes.
This digital currency, the state-controlled digital currency, central bank-controlled digital currency that they want to bring in, which is programmable. What does that mean? It means they can turn it off.
Yes, and they can turn you on if you've been jabbed. In my opinion, I don't know when they really do. And I've experienced this with my daughter. She's 23. She was younger at that time. It was back before the whole COVID mess. So it was a couple of years before that. They had shut down an entire neighborhood. You couldn't even go into the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Unless you lived there, and I don't even know if you could do it then. We didn't ask that question, but just that you come up on a public road and every way into that, because we tried several ways to get in, it was all shut down. So I do believe that was some placement of some 5G crap, and I do believe that it is crap. It's crap for us. Because I think the graphene oxide within that shot, which it's proven that, and look at all the side effects of the jab that have came out. I do believe it's within Pfizer's shot, and it's almost 300 side effects that can and may happen to you having took that. And that's such a mess to go into. I do realize that, but I just think that the graphene oxide in those has got something to do with reacting to the 5G, and it's some electrical thing that is not good for our souls.
I'm just going to say,
and
Heidi.
If they merge you,
Heidi,
merging you with AI, then you become non-human.
Yeah, Heidi, I've just got to say, we're on a heavily censored platform.
Yes.
We have to just be careful with the words we use. I've already got one strike against me. I don't need another one.
Well, I'm letting you lead anyway, so I should be quiet.
Yeah, all right, yeah. But yeah, the motive for it all. I mean, it's all come out now, hasn't it? We know now. I didn't know when I wrote my books about the World Economic Forum, but we know now about the World Economic Forum and their plan, because Klaus Schwab has published a book about it. So it's all out in the open now, what he wants to do.
You own nothing and be happy.
Yeah. And they've already infiltrated many, I don't know how many, I won't say most because that might be technically inaccurate, but many of the world's governments, the national governments, and they've got a deal now with the United Nations. This is an organization that represents the 1,000 biggest corporations in the world, private businesses, and they now have a power sharing deal with the United Nations. Let that sink in. That can't be right, can it? Democracy's out the window straight away.
It seems the wrongest things just get swept underneath of the rug, and they continue to happen. We tend to let history repeat itself. Tell me, why do we continue to let it? And they erase, I think, large swaths of our history from us.
Yeah, absolutely. I did this with a couple of Fridays ago with Teresa Fox, who was into home education. And if we let the state educate our kids, they'll tell them what they want our kids to believe.
Well, I've heard of them erasing Thomas Jefferson out of the history books. Those are made over in Texas, and it boggles your mind. And I think that if you look back into some research that I've done into ancient, they erase entire civilizations.
I'm sure they have. I'm sure there's a lot of civilizations in the past that we know nothing about.
Yes. So it's a very strange world. I'll just say that.
Now, if you let one small cabal run everything, run the banks, run the big corporations, run our schools, run our universities, run our governments, but this is the danger that we face. Okay. Now, I'm sure, maybe if you're still on, you'll have something to say about, on a more positive note, about how this is not going to be the great. This isn't going to be the Great Reset. This is going to be the Great Awakening, and how it's waking people up. And the last 2 years have really, really woken up a lot of people, and we're no longer going to sleepwalk into this totalitarian nightmare, because when we're waking up, people are waking up, people are starting to see what's happening, and people are starting to feel in their hearts that something's not right.
Yes, I would agree. I agree.
And without our cooperation, they can't go ahead with the Great Reset. We can sleepwalk into it, but
I think that the powers that be are scrambling a bit.
Sorry?
I said I think that the powers that be are scrambling a bit.
I think they're panicking. I think they're really panicking because they know. And I mean, Mabi gave us the astrological aspect to this on last Friday.
Yes, I tuned in. Yes.
And there's absolutely no way the cabal can win.
Well, and what it goes back into that you have to stand united. They will conquer and divide us if we do not stand united.
Absolutely, this is the main thing. We must unite. I see even in the Truther movement, so much division. People calling each other shills and all this sort of nonsense. There maybe some are, but we must stand united.
Yes, but still allow. It's okay that you have your opinion. You can be allowed to have it. What if we all thought exactly the same? It would be boring. And I do believe that people's opinions have to be honored. I don't have to agree with what you say, and you don't have to agree with what I say. But I should have the right, just as you should have the right, to speak freely of what your position is.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that the censor that goes back into what you were saying with the censorship. I mean, because that's one of our amendments in this country here, and it should just be in every country. The right to speak your mind should be, and also the right that you have to say yes or no to what is put into your body should be a human. That should just be
basic human right.
The law of the land. I just don't agree with them forcing anything. And the masks never worked. They were actually harmful to your health. And we're still caught in this spiral of idiocy, in my opinion. Where have people's critical thinking skills went? Just like up in smoke. You shake your head in dumbfounded wonder as you see these people walking around in the open air with a mask on. Is the very air you breathe going to kill you? Well, not generally. I mean, well, depending on how polluted your area is, but I just think that that people give themselves diseases wearing these masks, breathing in those chemicals. And if you want to talk pollution, then the throwaway masks have got to be a worse problem than plastic straws now. They're
Absolutely,
everywhere.
Yeah. I mean,
there are so many.
How can people who believe in the masks, who believe that they're doing some good, just cast them on the floor and walk on? It's. I just don't get it. I really don't. But people are getting their news from the television. The television is really.
I always say that we should take those out for shooting practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really do believe that if you consider it programming, then you watching it are being programmed. And it does go into music as well, the programming. And I think that too many people just are not asking enough questions. You've got to question everything. And you've got to look at both sides of the fence. And I definitely believe that it is critical to think for yourself.
People have been dumbed down with television and fluoride in the water.
Oh, and with the Common Core over here in the U.S., it's just a travesty of justice. How our children are being indoctrinated. I don't agree with that. I have mine in a Montessori at this time.
Yeah.
But along with, it's very important to work with your partner and raising your littles, and not homeschooling does not work for everyone's situation, but I would gravitate towards that. Divorce makes things a little bit tricky and difficult, as I am approaching a year now. So I have joint custody, but the laws and things are, and the way that things go, sometimes as a parent, you don't have enough say in what happens. And split apart, I'm in the middle, looking at both sides, wondering, what to because he doesn't want to homeschool. So when you're dealing with someone that doesn't, and it's that messy of a situation, it's hard to have control over what is happening to my own children.
That is
And I think
difficult.
that
Yeah.
there's many people that go through this. It's a common, mess of divorce. So, but at least a Montessori, I mean, and that you talk to your own children. I mean, you can educate them yourself to a great degree within how you share the world with them. I don't believe in sugarcoating. I'm on the realm of parenthood of, I don't want to lie to my children. Santa Claus is this and not that, and on and on. I don't want to tell them lies that I have found to be exactly that. It's a materialistic holiday, Christmas, and let's just admit it and move on. Daddy's Santa and get over it. But that bursts a lot of parents' bubbles. They want them to have imagination, and I do as well, but not based off of a lie.
No.
So I mean, I think, and as a general rule of thumb, as a people, we have to come together in love. That's all there is.
That's all there is,
And
Heidi.
I love the title of your book because, yes, it's love, not fear.
If we can come from love, not fear, it's that simple. And
I can walk with my unjabbed friend,
yeah,
and we can get along. It should be each person's individual choice.
I have unjabbed friends. It's not a problem for me. Why do people get so hung up about it? It's all this divide and rule.
That is existing within freedom, having the right to choose for yourself what's good for you at any given time. And I think that we should just demystify a lot of the things that are brought in that, you make a choice when you use something that is not good for your body, just like you make a choice when you do something that is good. But you still should be allowed to have the choice.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're gaining ground, not losing it. And I mean, it's hard to exist in an insane world and be sane.
I think as long
and
as
I think that war to that degree, it's just insanity. If we if you chase after trying to fix something the same way that you created it, I mean, it doesn't make any logical sense that that's possible.
No, Einstein said that.
Something in order for it to change.
Einstein said that, didn't he? He said you can't fix a problem with the same level of thinking you used to create it.
Yes.
Really something different.
Yes, and what we've destroyed with what Nikola Tesla produced way back when, I mean, I think that so many things are kept secret from the general populace. And they're light years ahead of where we are, these people that control things.
Well, all his findings, when he died, all his findings were seized and classified, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the rabbit hole's very deep when you choose to really go down it. And do your own research. I always say to people, do your own research. You have to look at many sources to come to any credible solution or idea of what you lean towards.
So you can be pretty sure
you can't just listen to Fox News and CNN.
Can't just listen to any. No. The mainstream media are there for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to brainwash us into the official narrative. They're not there to tell us the truth.
No, their version of it. See, that's why if you tell a lie long enough, to them saying it, it becomes the truth.
Yeah,
and another with polo ticks, as I love to call them. It seems like the dirtier their hands are, the cleaner that they come out in the wash. And all of this debauchery just gets swept underneath of the rug, and it continues to be allowed to go on. So, I mean, my critical sense of thinking tells me, well, that's a check against you right there. If you want, if a check against them that are in control of this whole thing.
Well,
But we
bring it
have the
on.
choice.
Bring
We
it
have
on.
to choose to believe in what's real versus in what's being sold, because they just sell you their version of truth.
Bring it on, because every time they lie, every time they do something so obviously not true, not based in truth, not based in love, people wake up. They're waking more and more people up all the time. And the more people wake up to what's going on, the more certain it becomes that they're not going to get away with it. Are they? They can't.
That would be our goal. I definitely press for that within, and even if it's just a few at a time. If you just, one of the many, one of the few, one of those that's trying to get through. I mean, wrote a poem about it. I always love to say. So I'll be sharing that on Monday.
Well, we want to hear. No, it's this Friday. It's this Friday.
Oh, this Friday?
This Friday, yeah. Definitely this Friday.
Oh, is it really? No.
No, it's
Because this Friday would be the
Friday the 1st.
Let me see.
Friday the 1st. 1st of April. Yeah, it's on the Co-Creating the New Earth Together show, not on this show.
So what date are we? What number date are we? I'm a little lost.
1. 1st of April.
But today, what's today?
Today, date? I don't know. 21st today.
Yes, so that wouldn't be this coming Friday, because it would only be the 25th.
Oh, okay. So you're on next week, the week after that. You're on the week after that. Okay.
Well, and then the 31st is on Thursday, so then it would be Friday. It would be Friday.
Yeah, so okay.
But not this one.
Yeah, Friday.
Not the 25th, but the 1st.
Yeah, Friday.
So week after next.
Friday 2 weeks from now. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I look forward to it. I'm excited to get to share, and I think that each person is unique. Each person has a voice, and we should use more of our ears to listen with sometimes than we do. And I definitely can put my own foot in my mouth at times. So I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty as charged. But when we choose to slow down and be patient and kind to each other and allow, each person to have their say, we're a better world for that. And each soul should be honored. Each soul has potential just like the next. I don't think that there's such special ones. I think that we all are special.
Absolutely.
We all are, a product of a divine creator. Whatever you want to give him a name, whatever name you give him. I mean, that's up to the individual. But there is some universal love that is within our souls. It is the breath of that we breathe that carries us through day after day. If we just become in tune with ourselves, within our own vibrational frequencies, our own, and I think that to a degree people tend to gloss over the fact that your thoughts are your reality. So whatever it is that you're thinking about, whether it's negative or positive, is what greets you at the door.
Mm-hmm.
And the power of thoughts are just incredible, because you can move mountains with just a thought.
That's why we have to focus on the new earth that we're trying to create, rather than on the old earth that's becoming obsolete. If the more we focus on the New World Order and all their nonsense, the more we're feeding them power. The more we focus on minds.
They feed off of that, and I do believe that it's true that circumstances can force you, or not force you necessarily, but can dictate when you're not conscious. Because a lot of people, it seems like, live in subconscious mode, where they're not really there, because they're consumed by things that are going on in their lives. And when you become consumed to such a degree within negativity and how you're choosing to think about something and to and it's like a dog chasing its tail around you. And it seems like that then you bring that negative to you, and those in control, feed off of it. They love it. They love dissension and grief and pain and anguish and all of these things that are a part of life. Yes. I mean, when someone passes, it's anguish you feel, it's grief, it's sorrow, but you have to learn to set that person free and to let their spirit soar. I mean, so, from the minute that you were born, you are dying.
So instead of focusing on them and what they're doing to us, why don't we focus on building a new grassroots system from the bottom up that that makes them obsolete?
Yes. Yes. I absolutely agree. And people need to focus on the now. Now is all that there is. You're not guaranteed a second more.
Everything's going on now.
Now is beautiful. Now is what you say it is. Yeah. So I definitely push more for positive within myself. I'm a Cancer, so I'm a little.
Right, we seem to have lost Heidi there. I know, she's back. We lost you there for a minute, Heidi.
We have to hang in there as a collective humanity, and be empathetic to the plights of others and to their struggles, and to come together in unity. We have the opportunity in the here and now. So I appreciate your thoughts, and and I agree on many different levels. And you have to be willing, I think, as souls, to think outside of that box. You don't think through another. You learn from them, and you gain, and and like the one podcast I tweeted in or sent in, that all rungs of the ladder are important. Whether you're the maid that sterilizes that surgical room, or you're the doctor that performs that surgery with the nurse helping him, all rungs of that ladder are very important. Because if you didn't have that clean surgical room, you wouldn't have a surgery that maybe would go very well. It would be infected, Mm-hmm. I mean, so every rung of the ladder, whether you're a waitress or a bartender or a maid or a butler or the driver, all things are important. All levels of life, all rungs in the ladder.
The example I tend to give.
I always say that I just pose as a maid, but I'm a poet. I'm an unpaid poet.
The example I tend to give is that if the janitor didn't clean the executive toilets, the board of directors couldn't meet.
Yep.
We're all lungs in we're all bricks in the wall, if you like. We're all part of the system. But we need to become part of a new system. Part of a new system based on love and generosity instead of meanness and fear.
Yes.
And that's really what Love Not Fear is all about.
And I think a lot of people maybe come from backgrounds where they maybe have never even been loved. So I think that reaching out in kindness is the first and foremost thing to do, because and for people to just judge not, least ye be judged.
Yeah.
You have to step back and to some degree, and you learn from that about another's plight, and to try to walk in their moccasins for a mile.
Right. Well, we're at the top of the hour, or the bottom of the hour. We've done our hour and a half. Yeah. We've done an hour and a half. So thank you very much, Heidi, for coming on and talking to me. I was scared I was going to end up talking to myself. So thank you very much for that.
I will look forward to our 2-week rendezvous. So I'm getting my ducks in a row. I might have to go. I don't have internet in my home right now, which is probably odd to people. So I will have to travel outside. So it might be a little goofy, but hey, goofy things are good.
It'll be good fun, Heidi.
As long as I get on the live feed. So, and if all else fails, you'll have my voice. I know how to phone in.
Right. Okay. So thanks very much, Heidi. Thank you very much, Mabee, for commenting. Thank you for everybody else who was here, or those that are going to be watching later. And I'm not sure who I've got on Friday now, because I thought it was Heidi and it isn't. So you probably know more than me. I'll have to check the schedule, but I'm sure it'll be fun, whoever it is. So yeah, love you all. Namaste.
Light and love. Namaste.